everyone. Greetings from San Diego, California. Welcome to the CSML speaker series presented by the California School of Management and Leadership at Alliance International University. My name is Leila Naderi, and I'm the Director of Partnership Development at Alliance International University. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, and I hope each and every one of you are doing well, or you are healthy and happy. Have you ever noticed there is a new kind of leadership emerging, one that combines entrepreneurship with social innovation? Today, the speaker, Steve Kappler, interim president of ENACTUS USA, will share insights on how to create a better world through experiential learning and how ENACTUS USA empowers the next generation of leaders who lead with mind and heart. Very interesting and inspiring topic, right? So for the agenda today, Professor Ozyurt, Program Director of CSML, will have a brief introduction to Alliance and California School of Management and Leadership. Then I will introduce our amazing speaker, Mr. Steve Kappler, Interim President of ENACTUS USA, and he will share his talk about creating a better world through experiential learning. Then we will have Q&A. So please feel free to use the chat box and Q&A box for to share your questions or comments, and we will try to respond the questions or share your questions if time allows us. And of course, we will wrap up the session with the final notes. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Saba Ozyurt, Professor and Program Director of BSBA and MBA at Alliance International University, California School of Management and Leadership. Dr. Ozyurt?
Thank you very much, Dr. Naderi. It's a pleasure to be here, and welcome everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful webinar. We are very excited to have Mr. Steve Kappler with us today, and we can't wait to hear his wonderful talk about leadership and ENACTUS organization. But before we do so, I want to just give a brief introduction to our university and our School of California School of Management and Leadership. So we are Alliance International University. We are located throughout California. We have 6 campuses in San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Fresno, Sacramento, and San Francisco, and Irvine, sorry. And our campus where our School of Management and Leadership is located is in San Diego. And we have, as Alliance International University, we have a long history. We are an old institution. We have more than 100 years of history, with our oldest school being founded in 1909. And we are a private, regionally accredited institution, and we prepare students for professional careers in business, psychology, forensic, education, and law. So we have 5 different schools: School of Professional Psychology, School of Business and Management and Leadership, School of Forensics, Education, and Law. Next slide, please. Thank you. And for our own school, School of Management and Leadership, we have multiple programs. Our graduate programs, I'm going to focus on our graduate programs here. We focus on, obviously, leadership, management, and business. And we have another focus in technology and quantitative fields as they apply to business and management and leadership. Our graduate programs are the MBA program, which is I'm the program director of. And we also have master's degree in information systems technology. We have a master's program in data analytics and healthcare analytics. And we also have 2 doctoral programs, a Doctor of Business Administration, DBA program, as well as a PhD in Leadership Studies. We offer multiple certificate programs, most of which are technology related, as you can see from the slides, some of which include cybersecurity, data analytics, and data management. So if you are interested in any of our degree programs or certificate programs, please feel free to reach out to Dr. Naderi or myself, and we will be happy to provide you more information. Just before I turn it over to Dr. Naderi, so she can introduce Mr. Kappler, I want to say that we have a wonderful synergy between ENACTUS and Alliance, California School of Management and Leadership, because we value professional practice, practical training, and experiential learning. And in that way, we have wonderful opportunities to partner with ENACTUS, and we are a member of ENACTUS, and we are very happy to have this collaboration. So Dr. Naderi, without further ado, let's introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Oziud, for the introduction you had. So at this time, I would like to take a moment, and it's my honor actually to introduce the speaker today. And I'm actually, ENACTUS is very near and dear to me for many reasons. I am an ENACTUS alumni. So during my MBA, actually, I was a member of TW ENACTUS, Texas Women's University. And then, joining Alliant, actually, when we have become also quite a bit, we are a new member of ENACTUS, Alliant International University's California School of Management and Leadership. So it's not only because of that ENACTUS is very near and dear to me, but also I believe in the mission of this organization. It's just like, and also the impacts that they are making globally. And it's, as Dr. Oziud mentioned, for us as a university, as a professional practice university, that we value applying knowledge in real world, community engagement, community empowerment is very also critical for us. So that's why, we are so happy to have the speaker today, Mr. Steve Kappler. So just a brief bio of Steve. Steve Kappler is a frequent presenter and panelist at conferences around the country with over 30 years of hands-on experience with important trends affecting the future of education and workforce development. In his current role, Steve functions as the interim president of ENACTUS USA, leading programs and development, guiding student development for ENACTUS College and university teams. And I want to say that, I admire his personal leadership style also, because working closely with him and also ENACTUS Faculty Advisory Committee. Prior to joining the organization, Steve was a divisional lead for consulting services at ACT, maker of the college entrance exam. With ACT, he also served as the vice president for brand experience area, which included marketing, communication, brand strategy, and customer experience. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Steve Kappler, interim president of ENACTUS USA, as he will talk about creating a better world through experiential learning.
Well, thank you. It is wonderful to be here, and I'm going to share my screen so we can get to the presentation. There we go. Well, again, it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate the kind words, and really do feel like there's synergies between the two institutions. So I'm honored to be asked, and again, thank you for having me. The main goal of this presentation is really to talk more about how ENACTUS worked to build a positive program that really gives students valuable hands-on experience, all the while making a difference in their community or around the world. That's the beauty of ENACTUS. It doesn't necessarily just have to be your community. You can be helping around the world. What we try to put together from a programmatic standpoint is really to look at putting together an ecosystem, if you will, where a system where students, faculty, and business all interact together. They teach, they learn together, they work together, and partner together really for the positive nature of change. And to do that, we really looked at a couple of things. And for us, the most important part was this notion of the methodology of theory and practice, if you will. Let's take some classroom time, as wonderful faculty across the country do, and really talk about the theory of entrepreneurship and business and how we do these things. But let's have a little playground that we can actually put that in play in with ENACTUS, and that's the experiential learning. That's the practice part, and it's not just a club that sets up and fundraises around locally. They set up teams and set up businesses. There's a president. There's a marketing lead, there's a sales lead. They set up an actual business so they get to function from a team perspective. And I think that really makes a big difference when you look at other co-curricular activities. This really sets it up like a real world business that they have to learn to function within. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as we move forward, because we know from research that employers across this nation right now are clamoring for the sorts of things that ENACTUS students would sort of learn naturally through the process of working within an ENACTUS team. So that from a program overview perspective, it set up really is that first part, the program establishment. It's working to get a team and align it as a newer team. They're probably in that program establishment, moving over towards the team and student development side of things. So they're still relatively early in the process. But the beauty of this is, let's establish a program on campus. Let's see how it fits. Let's find a faculty advisor. Let's see what courses it might align to, so that you can talk about those experiences in that coursework. And then there's also the student development side, which goes beyond the curricular side. And that's some of the things that we can help provide, whether that's how to build a team. We have overviews on our ENACTUS Training Center that students can watch. We also have learning opportunities through video learnings that students can take advantage of in some key core areas that we think help from an ENACTUS development standpoint. Next, then we move to the collaborative guidance. And this again is sort of where the ecosystem comes into play. And this is where faculty play a big role. ENACTUS US across the country, and our regional program managers play a big role here as well. But we also have business advisory boards, and some schools do this in a wonderful way, where they actually have advisors from the local business community who come in and work with those students on their projects, on how to set up a team, how to work more effectively in teams. And just really helping, especially those that are tasked into the leadership role. So it's just, again, that more of a mentorship capacity, and advisory board. So that collaborative guidance really helps to steer that, the way that teams are set up and the way that things work. The next two phases are the exciting ones. That's where things really get going and move into the entrepreneurial action phase of things, where they've gone beyond just setting up the team. They're setting up companies. They're working on specific projects and or products that they can sell. And it gets exciting. And then the culmination of it for us is each year annually we have a competition where the teams come and tell us what they did, what they accomplished, show their impact. And do it. The last year was the first time we did it all online, and this year we'll be doing the same. In fact, I'll have more information about it because it actually starts next week. But we really try to make it where students are telling about the actions and opportunities that were created by their work, and so it's a critical piece of things as we look at it from a competition standpoint. One of the other important parts from an ENACTUS perspective is that we're not just ENACTUS US, we're a global organization. And from a global perspective, we're in 35 countries, as you can see, with 72,000 students, 3,800 projects, and 1.3 million people across the world impacted by these projects in positive ways. And you can see then where the ENACTUS US team falls, or students fall in. About 7,800 were on 300 plus campuses. We did 460 projects, and that would have been 2019. So we try to really emphasize the global nature of what we do as well, and have really worked hard in the last few years to connect more globally. The US just ran a program last summer, and we'll be replicating that again next summer in collaboration with ENACTUS Morocco through the Stevens Initiative and the Aspen Institute. We ran a virtual pitch competition where teams got together virtually, created products around one of the 17 SDGs, Sustainability Development Goals, and then did a pitch competition at the end of the summer where we had winning teams, and seed money was given to those teams to start up their projects. So we're looking for more opportunities like that. We hope that if you're a student and interested in ENACTUS, that you take advantage of opportunities like this, because that's an important part of what we try to put forward in opportunities that are created. And as I mentioned, we really build a framework around the 17 UN Sustainability Development Goals. And if you're not familiar, obviously they're on the screen and you can take a look. But for the US, we find our three most popular are in number 8, which is decent work and economic growth. And this means that projects or solutions or a product of some sort is meant to solve one of the, in some meaningful way, there's a problem statement around decent work and economic growth, and our product is or solution and our team is really trying to solve that. We had 20% of all the projects in the US were around that, 17.6 around quality education, and 13% around good health and well-being. And this was from last year, the 2019-2020 academic year. So I think we're going to see some shifts in that, but I believe you'll see number 8 continue to do well. But I think we're going to see the good health and well-being begin to rise as you know, a lot of these projects were well underway before COVID hit. We did see a lot of teams shift extremely well and pivot their projects into something that was more of a response to COVID. And that's that entrepreneurial spirit that ENACTUS students and faculty advisors really press and comes out in our students as they interview with our partners and with others across the nation once they graduate. It's a great story to be able to tell, to be sure. And you can see some of the stats just from the US alone of impact with the one that grabs me always is the number of people lifted above the poverty line, with close to 75,000 people through the work of ENACTUS teams across the country were lifted above that poverty line. And that's just an incredible number and a testament to the students and the work that they're able to accomplish. As far as the demographic, sort of the makeup of teams in the US, or students in the US, we're 53% female. And as you can see, we're also very, very diverse. And one of the things that attracts our partners from a hiring perspective is that diversity, because they're able to show that they can work in diverse teams. And that's another big issue right now that corporations across the country are looking for. So it's a nice little piece that really helps in the building of things. And you know, as we talked, as in the opening, we talked about and even in the title of the session, talked a lot about the sort of the 3 facets of what happens and what works well. And in my mind, I kind of put them into 3 buckets, and it's experiential learning, social entrepreneurship, and cultivating that new, that next gen leader. And I talked a little bit about this in my opening, and that's, you know, experiential learning for me is that notion of theory and practice. And this is what plays out every day on campuses around the country, where faculty do an incredible job of putting theory in place, and it gets to play out in practice in the ENACTUS teams that are set up, in the project work that they do. And I think that's really the critical piece that fulfills the third part of this, which is the next generation leaders being built. We also try to put together programming. I mentioned one, we have the virtual cultural exchange with ENACTUS Morocco in conjunction with the Stevens Initiative and the Aspen Institute. We also are offering, again this year, a summer leadership series, which is this year sponsored by KPMG, one of our partners, as well as all new content provided by Robert Half, another one of our partners. And this year, a little different than last year, rather than just watching a series of curricular and content-based videos, we're actually going to incorporate that into a pitch competition as well, where there'll be seed money given at the end to the teams that win. So we really are trying to look for teams that can come up with really good ideas and then help them get those ideas put into place. We also did last year a wonderful design thinking webinar that was put on by Intuit, where we had hundreds of students take place in an 1.5-hour session online, and that was extremely well received. And design thinking is a big deal relative to ENACTUS, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. And we also offered global races that were done with teams, ENACTUS teams from around the globe get together to work on challenges around plastics, around climate change, around water cleanup in our One Race for Oceans global race. So we try to offer things like that that really fit that ENACTUS spirit of doing social good, but also done in an entrepreneurial spirit. From a social entrepreneurial perspective, it's just that. It's we're really giving opportunities for individuals and groups to put things together to solve social, cultural, and environmental issues, and do so from a business perspective, not just from a let's raise funds and give them to somebody who's going to take care of this problem. No, it's let's go figure out what the problem is and build something to solve that issue. And I think that's really the key part of what ENACTUS students do. And while they'll do fundraisers, their fundraisers tend to be to create seed money for their actual projects. So you're going to see less of that, you know, hey, let's go to a can drive to help a local charity. You're going to see more of let's start up a business that helps us connect issues of food issues and with those who are in need of food. You know, how do we connect up those two angles? And the last part, and the reason I'm actually with ENACTUS, is the cultivating of the next generation of leaders, and really that training aspect. It's more in my background. I was very fortunate when I was with ACT to work on a project with the National Network of Business and Industry Leaders. And what they tried to do is to look at what were those key skills that individuals, especially those coming right out of college, what are the key skills that they needed to succeed in whatever industry it was they went into. And so we really took a look and did a deep dive into it. And it's always struck me that there's probably about 5 or 6 things that are really important. And I'm going to name 4, the top 4 that we had, and from all the research we did, not only at ACT, but with other organizations, the key skills that are needed across pretty much all industries, and also one that research would tell us that students don't always have when they're graduating college or graduating high school and getting into the workforce. So it's problem solving, it's critical thinking, it's working in teams, and one that is really gotten a lot of press lately is empathy. So those are 4 of the key and critical skills that organizations, we know that they're looking for. And if you think about what we've just described with what ENACTUS does, they take a problem and look how to solve that problem. They use critical thinking to do so. They work in teams, and given the nature of their work, their empathy meter is likely off the charts. So it really does help to build these skills. And many times they're not even sure that, and understanding A, that they have these skills, but more importantly, B, how they communicate those skills. So one of the other aspects of ENACTUS is that communication aspect that really takes us into, you know, the presentations that they'll do, but to be more comfortable about telling your story. It's interesting. We do a lot of storytelling type sessions. We help students with mock interviews. And one of the things I'll say to students as they're going through these mock interviews is just tell your ENACTUS stories, because you're going to hit teamwork, you're going to hit collaboration, you're going to hit critical thinking and problem solving. You're going to hit all these things that a trained interviewer is going to listen for in your ENACTUS story. So it really is a resume builder that can help in skill building. And it's one of the reasons we do have a number of partners who really work with us and want to hire our students, because they know they have these intangible skills that others don't. And we really try to have them think about this. And even in one of the other offerings that we have is called the BNY Mellon Fellows Program, and it's where students do a year's worth of curricular aspects of things. And one of the areas we always focus on is that career readiness, and that's, you know, resume writing. It's all of those things to prepare you, because we know you're going to have the skills when you come out. It's your ability to tell that story of how those skills matter and why someone should hire you. And it really kind of rounds out that student development aspect of what we're looking at inside students. Okay, so next up, we're going to talk a little bit more about the program and how it works and the types of things that we do. And then I'm going to tell you 3 stories about some projects, because I always think it's good to hear what teams are doing and what do we mean by this, and what does it look like? What do you mean by a project? What do you mean by you know, that they set up a business? So let me tell you a little bit about the overview. So the first part is sort of this notion, and I alluded to it already, of set up and structured. Most are set up like a small business operation where you have a leadership. You might have a president who oversees things. In some cases, there's even a leadership team with several sub-teams, depending on the size. Some ENACTUS team sizes, you're having as many as 100 students. Others, you might only have 20 or 25. So some of that really depends on your setup and your makeup, how big you are, and the types of things you need. But you tend to have an overall leader, somebody in marketing, typically, project leadership for sure. That's a big and key part. You'll have somebody who's in sales and or membership. You'll likely have an HR person. So again, you're setting up your own business. So now when you come out of school and you go into the workplace, you've gone through a lot of the things that happen in a normal workplace that other students just haven't had an opportunity to do and be involved in it. An internship is one thing. This is way deeper. You're running the business yourself. And it really makes a difference relative to what you're doing and what you end up with. And that's sort of that first part of things. How do we set up? How do we structure? The meantime, you're also going to be looking at what are your areas of interest? What are you trying to solve? What are the issues? And that can come from anywhere. There's great stories of that, whether it's a student who comes in with a passion around something and really wants to, or there's a community needs assessment that someone read about, and or it might come from the school directly that there's something you're looking to solve. And then you go through that process, that problem solving, and use ideation to really try to define what it is that you're going to do to solve this issue and what that impact is going to be after you do that. And, typically during this process, towards the end of ideation, when we got to that, and before we slide into this notion of actually starting the project, you'll tend to see things like a business model canvas, which really forces you then to look at audience needs and do that analysis to know if the product that you're looking, A, solves a problem and B, meets a need. So you're going to really have to do some research into it, and you may see some fine tuning. You certainly will see prototypes that are developed and reworked. And so it's really just the same process that you would go through with a local business or in any business. You're going to go through this as well. So that's where I said, if you've got a great story to tell once you go through all this process that really will highlight for anyone you're talking to what you've learned and how you're able to put these normal business theories into practice in an everyday capacity. Obviously, next part then, let's get it implemented and put together. And this is where we see some great project management skills that come out of it with our students as well, where they're able to really follow along and make sure things go. And we've had partnerships in the past with project management institutes. We've got ENACTUS Training Center has several courses out there that folks can take, and we know very well that faculty across the country are teaching this. So it's a really good opportunity on this phase in particular to put some of that theory into practice in more of a real world capacity. And the last part, the second to last part, is impact, and this really becomes how you're measured what you do, and we look at it in the ways that you saw in some of the stats earlier, whether that's how are people impacted in real life? How many people and how are they impacted? Planet, if you're doing something that is around climate action, how many tons of CO2 less are being emitted because of a project or something that we've produced. So you start to think about how it can impact the planet. And then the last part is the prosperity. Are we able to turn this into a prosperous business? And every year there's businesses created. Every year there's people hired from ENACTUS projects. And so it's an interesting way to look at it. And then, as I mentioned, the last part is that vehicle is the competition portion of things. And that's the fun part. It's where, and normally it's done in person and people get to interact and watch. They're really impressive, and we'll make sure that you have a link to be able to watch that. And this is one, again, you may be able to watch next week if you'd like. Next Friday, we will have the Final Four ceremony in early Friday afternoon. So you can watch the top 4 teams in the U.S. compete for the championship, if you will. So I'm going to share just real brief about 3 projects that happened last year. They were our top 3 projects from last year's National Exposition. The first one was from Brigham Young University of Hawaii. It was called Rice Up, and it was essentially they worked to teach sustainable farming methods in several countries, but primarily in the Philippines. And it was really agri-solutions business that empowered farmers through the use of self-reliance and entrepreneurial education. They actually set up schools where they went through training of farmers, not only on sustainable farming methods, but also on how to run a business. And they used farm schools to do that. Then they created, interestingly enough, farm co-ops that cut out several layers of the middleman, allowing farmers to sell their crops and their produce at a higher price, increasing farming incomes, and really creating almost a new middle class among farming communities that just hadn't been there before. And so really just looking at solving a couple of problems really changed that, the direction of the lives of many of the folks in this. And there's more to this. They really look to address 4 key SDGs, although I'd argue there are probably more that this addressed. That certainly addressed number 1 of no poverty, number 2 of zero hunger, number 4 of quality education through their farm schools, and number 8, decent work and economic growth. So you can see a project doesn't have to just support one SDG. In fact, many times we see it crossing over into several, and those tend to be the projects that really not only do well, but have the most impact, obviously. Next, we had the University of Missouri, Kansas City, and they actually submitted 2. One was Feed KC, and I just loved this idea. They looked at food waste and food insecurity and created a transformational platform that enabled restaurants to end food waste by distributing that excess food to those in need through the use of an app. And just an ingenious idea around Kansas City. And so that, again, addresses a variety of things. They also did one called Generation Green, which they created the bottle board, which used created erasable whiteboards for the classroom using recycled plastics. So again, it's checking off a bunch of boxes. Certainly no poverty, zero hunger, quality education, climate action through lessening the of plastic. So just 2 wonderful projects that were put together by one team. They're a good group that has an extremely solid organization and solid project team. So you're going to see a lot from University of Missouri, Kansas City. And the last, or the 3rd place team was North Central College. And they worked to change the distribution methods by going direct to farmers, very similar to what we saw in the first one. In this case, it was with coffee farmers. And we're able to sell their beans in more of a direct manner, again, cutting out that middleman and seeing an increase then to the farmer's income, which again they were able to create coffee products. They also did something interesting in that they reused the burlap sacks from the coffee into products that were meant to complement their coffee and other chocolate products that they had created and help to raise income to support the larger scale project. So you start thinking in different directions and very entrepreneurial as you get into these projects. And again, addressing poverty and zero hunger, the decent work and economic growth. So you see it crossing the boundaries of several things from a creation standpoint. And that kind of leads into the last part of what I'll talk about, and then we'll open up hopefully for some Q&A. And that is that we are coming up on next week our ENACTUS World Cup, or ENACTUS National Exposition, which starts on Monday. We have several things going on. We have 3 competitions actually this year. The first is our World Cup qualifying, which we have every year. We have 40 plus teams, 43 teams involved in that right now. They do up to a 12-minute video or PowerPoint presentation, and then they're judged on a set of criteria that's already out there so teams understand how they'll be judged. The winner of this section of the World Cup qualifying then represents ENACTUS USA at the World Cup, ENACTUS World Cup, which is all the countries send their winner, and we crown a world champion. And so that will be this fall. This year, again, we tried this for the first time last year. It was a big success. And we have an early stage competitions. And this gives teams that are kind of in the early phase of project where they haven't really crossed that bridge to impact yet and seen some key impact findings, but they've got things set up. They're probably in prototype or just beyond prototype phase and ready to go to market. It allows them to compete and get some really good advice that might help shape that project into something that will be more of a World Cup qualifying project in future years. And that one we have over 30 teams in that one as well. And then this year we added one new thing, and we did it because we knew some teams were struggling around how they worked together in COVID, or how their project continued in COVID, not being able to be in person. So we created a sustainability development goal, an SDG pitch competition. And right now we have about 15 teams that are together in that. They'll focus on SDG 3, the good health and well-being, 8, decent work and economic growth, and 10, reduced inequalities. And they'll be able to compete. They were put in their teams this past Monday. We had the kickoff call. They're probably ideating and talking about it as we speak and working together. And the pitch competition will take place next week and will be judged as well. So just another opportunity for students to get together, put some of these practices in place, meet some teams. So some of these teams are set teams from one institution, and others are a cross-section of teams from several institutions. So they're able to work with students potentially from around the country. And the next is, how can you sort of interact with or engage with Expo and the things that are, whoops, there we go. And the ways that you can do it. One is, and this is probably most important, and it's watch and celebrate. All the events will be streamed live, either on Facebook Live, if you like ENACTUS US on Facebook, you'll be able to see it there, or on our website. We'll be live streaming all events and ceremonies, and the next slide will show that. There still is time, although I believe opening round has closed from a judging perspective. There still is time to potentially be a judge if you're interested. And that's, you can find all this at the URL listed on this page, www.enactusunitedstates.org/national_exposition. And then I'm going to suggest a few sessions if you are interested that would be live streamed, that would be well worth going to. One is part of our Partner Summit series where our partners get together, and that's what we call the Trust Matters session, and that's the Edelman Trust Barometer, which comes out annually. They're releasing it at the conference so that you can take a peek and listen to what trust happens. And it's a fascinating session this year because they saw some shifts, potentially due to COVID, but they saw some shifts this year that I think will be fascinating for people to listen to. And that will be on Wednesday, April 14th from 2 to 2:50 Central Time. And so again, it'll be live streamed. You'll be able to see it, and we can work to get you registered as well as needed. All right, and then the last, obviously, is portions of that would be the sessions themselves. So I always think it's a good one to hit an opening ceremony, which takes place this Monday. Again, live streamed either on Facebook Live or our website. The student awards and announcement of the winning teams are always fascinating. We'll be doing one round of that on Wednesday, and then the final competition where you can actually view all or the final 4 teams and their Q&A will take place on Friday. If you do get a chance to register and go through the process, you'll be given a link to all the teams, so you can watch any one of the teams you want and any one of the videos that they've put together for things. So it's proves to be an incredible time, and I hope that you'll make some time to join us for some part of it. Again, it'll be live streamed and sessions will be going on, so you'll be able to rewatch them. It's if you do have a prior commitment and want to watch it at another time. And that's a lot of information in a pretty short period of time. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and we can open up the floor for questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Steve. That was a really great talk. And also, I'm glad also you shared some of the upcoming resources available for students and faculty even to join, especially to the National Expo. So, and I see quite a bit of questions coming from those, just participating in National Expo. First of all, I see that one of our faculty, actually, Dr. Scott, is asking, can these projects fit within a short time, like an 8-week course or a 15-week semester, something like that? So do you foresee it's possible to do that?
So yes, in fact, I just worked with an institution. They called me in January. They wanted to align it with one of their courses, and so we went through that process. They quickly, it was an entrepreneurship course. They quickly aligned it to where Expo was. So part of the grading would be that they were, and that this team's going to be involved in I believe they're going to do both an early stage, but a pitch competition as well. So they actually align directly with it. So there's plenty of ways that, yes, this can work and fit into a course. The hope would be that the team then stays together and continues that project on beyond the course or the semester.
Absolutely, it could be a good way to jumpstart. Actually, just involving the students, also continuing with that. So, Steve, I see another question is asking about the fee. Is it free for students to join? Like, how do our students need to pay for these activities? Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, there is no fee to be part of ENACTUS. So you are able to do so. We have some things that we ask of you. We need to have a roster of the students that are involved so we're able to connect with them when we have opportunities, like I talked about with the summer leadership series and the ENACTUS Morocco exchange. So we ask for that. We ask that you turn in things on time, and we have that all set up. Our regional program managers make that available to you. So that it really is up to the institution. Now, many times what they'll have to do as they start down project, either more so project development, and especially if they're going to do a prototype, they may need to raise funds. And so there might be some fundraising that they'll have to do locally to raise money to be able to do it. A lot of the competition, or most of the competitions, there are prize money that comes out with that. So you're able to receive some money to help fund the projects. And we talked a little bit about that, in that many times there'll be a project team devoted to nothing but the fundraising side. That's their job, is to go get funds, whether it's going into the local community. We had one that's local here to me. I'm in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, that the Mount Mercy team did a program. I didn't even know it was them until I started with ENACTUS. It was called Sandbags to Handbags. We had some flooding issues, and they took the sandbags and repurposed them into really cool looking handbags and sold them to raise funds for their bigger project. So there's any number of ways that the entrepreneurial spirit can take over and help to raise that funds, but it's not something that we're going to ask of you. We hope that that's part of what comes out of it from an ENACTUS student perspective.
Absolutely, Steve. I want to say also, what you are saying. Actually, it highlights also my experience as an ENACTUS alumni. Also, how empowered me when, during my MBA. Actually, one of the project we got involved was helping women in Belize. Actually, it's a country. And we were selling, just what we were doing. We had a representative in that country sending some of their handicrafts to us, and we created some sort of project based on helping them by selling them on our campus and helping them, empowering them to make more, and just from that level. What taught me actually involving in that project is that, as you are mentioning, is that one of the biggest lesson that actually it has stayed with me is that to make an impact, we do not need to be the richest and having the highest position. It's just we need to have a big heart of and also having that willingness of, especially if we are studying business management, we already have access to resources, tools, faculty members, mentors, as well as also ENACTUS has a lot of educational programs, and also connecting that kind of it's all about having that willingness and open heart that it is possible to begin with the first step and start to do what's possible to do at this time, and what are the resources available to me that I could use it to make an impact, even if it is the smallest impact. But just imagine if we have all the population of world, just like every one of us just do a small project, something that could help someone else, how it would amplify the impact. And I think that's the whole to me, in my opinion, is just it's the whole concept of ENACTUS. It's just empowering students to know that you're already learning business, you're already learning and if you have the passion for the role to make an impact, and also for the business, you could use both. And also I was actually in 2019 ENACTUS World Cup, and actually some of the examples you saw, I saw the students, how their impacts to the Rise Up project or the other universities, just by beginning a simple idea, but that idea turning it to an action by whatever resources available. And it's that is the power of ENACTUS actually. So
One quick thing, because you spurred on a thought that I think is an important one. We do a lot of in my career, I've done a lot of hiring, and I got asked not that long ago in an interview with a newspaper interview, what do I look for in people? I said, I hire for one thing. I hire for passion, because I can train anything else, but you can't fake passion. And the beauty of what happens with ENACTUS is students find their passion. And when they tell these stories, their voice inflects and changes. They lean forward more. That you can tell how excited they are. You find me somebody like that, I can train them to be a success, because it's the biggest and most important thing, and it's an intangible. And this helps. The ENACTUS program and this good, doing social good helps to bring that out in people and gets them excited. And there's just no way around that. You can't fake that. It's real and it matters.
It is actually another thing. It's just like, I love also that statement from ENACTUS, a head for the business and a mind and a heart for the world. So why is that important to lead with mind and heart? What do you think? What is your personal thoughts on that, Steve?
Well, I think we all, we all want to find that passion or that purpose in some way, shape, or form. I was fortunate to find it pretty early in my career and get excited to be able to do that. And then it becomes the tools. And the beauty of this is that, similar to how my career path went, I learned all these business skills, but I couldn't find any way to put them into something I was passionate about until I got into education. And then career takes off and those things. And I think that's really what this is about, is how do we create leaders that have the right skills and business acumen and sense for a business and how to run it and how to do that, align that with the social good aspect and really wanting to change things. And that's how you'll see things get done. The world's in a really interesting place right now, in that we're seeing more people look towards CEOs and look towards companies to really help solve problems, as opposed to government or even foundations. So I think we're starting to see that shift in business as a unit for good, as opposed to just business as a unit for profit.
Wonderful. Yeah. And that's actually, it's just like, you are more highlighting on triple bottom line, which it just says people, planet, profit. And I definitely see that, like, what ENACTUS is doing, and also the way that is empowering, students and next generation leaders is just like, we don't have to just go either or. We could accept the beauty of both and just saying, yep, it's possible to have a good, successful business, but also making sure we are supporting people as well as also planets in sustainable ways, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes, and I see a question. I think it's Becky from one of our PhD leadership students. She's asking about our do the local campus teams create a project? Is Alliant University on the campus list with a team? So Becky, yes, we are actually Alliant International University, California School of Management. Actually, we are a proud member of ENACTUS USA, and I want to introduce you also to Dr. Corey Scott, who is the program director of PhD leadership. He will be actually, overseeing also how we could use an ENACTUS project, not only just like, as an ENACTUS project, but also some of the students they could use for their internship, practical training as part of, the curriculum also. So please, we will make sure, we will update the students, and also especially Dr. Scott also, will have more information regarding that. And also, do the local campus teams create a project? So Steve, what do you answer? Yes, right? What type of projects? Maybe you want to elaborate on that. I think Becky is asking to know more about what type of project they could create.
Well, you can create anything, really. The sky's the limit. I think the key becomes around the ideation and or a problem. One of the projects that I'm aware of, the story, they read a newspaper article about something and came in the next day and said, "Oh my gosh, I've got an idea that I think we can solve this." So they went into ideation and came up with. So it can be, you can do a lot with local if you want, and because this was a local-based project only. You can look at an international problem solving like oceans and plastics and all those things, and ideate around that. So it really, you can do what you want. That's the beauty of this, is you can set it up how you'd like. And you know, we've seen a lot of through COVID, we've seen a lot of teams shift to almost be consultants to small business owners, especially restaurants, and helping them understand whether it's through here's we're going to help you by making masks, or we're going to help you by helping your website and setting up a delivery process so that if your dining room is closed, you can stay open and use delivery. I mean, just you can do just about anything. The key for you is find something you're passionate about, or a problem that is unique to you, your community, whatever it is, and look to solve it.
Absolutely. And I think it's just like, the answer is that, like, just looking around ourselves in our community, what are the needs of our community, our planet? And which is also like, we think that, we have ideas that, if we start to taking a step-by-step process, we could help to just make it a little bit of like, impact. And who knows, the examples that you shared, some of them, they turned out to become a successful business also. Starting with something that is just like, you're passionate, you see the needs for the community, and also based on that, going from that level. And just, this reminds me of, this quote from Henry Ford. And it's just like he was quite a bit highlighting, how we need to be more futurists. And he says, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have asked only faster horses. So what I encourage, our students and ENACTUS students is just about thinking about, like, maybe there are some needs even like maybe not your community even doesn't know, but they need it. And you are the one, you need to go beyond those faster horses and seeing what the next generation needs, how you can impact the world, by just the vision that you have, because of all the progress we see in the world is just becoming by people, entrepreneurs, leaders, that they just see what's they have a vision of seeing what the current just needs are, and taking steps towards that. What do you think, Steve?
Absolutely. The best entrepreneurs are the ones who are thinking 2 to 3 years out and anticipating needs. It's the Wayne Gretzky theory of I don't skate to the puck, I skate to where the puck is going to be, and it's the same example. The ones who do it well and have made a lifetime out of doing it are thinking 2 and 3 steps ahead.
Absolutely. So I know I want to be mindful also to basically to the time. Just one of the question comes to my mind also is that, like, COVID-19 shifted many business in different level. I was at ENACTUS 2019 World Cup in San Jose, and also last year, also 2020 World Cup, we were presenting, actually, we had a poster presentation. So it's just like, and I saw it was virtual, but also I want to ask you as the leader of ENACTUS USA. So what are the changes, COVID, has caused in ENACTUS USA's structure? And also, what are the greatest lessons you have learned from this COVID, actually?
Oh, 2 very good questions. I think the thing that changed most would be we made a decision with 6 weeks to go last year to move a in-person exposition to fully online, and that was a difficult decision. I will say that it showed the incredible entrepreneurial spirit and unbelievable work ethic of our team to be able to do that in such short period of time and pull it off and have it work well. And so I think what it proved is that there's many ways that a virtual environment can be effective, and being able to connect with teams, do your project work. We ran several things over the summer where teams talked about how they were managing projects virtually and how they're managing their teams virtually and in more creative ways. So I just think the whole spirit of what ENACTUS is about really kind of kicked in when this happened. Okay, let's change. we're doing one project, let's shift to this. We can build from what we're already doing and move in this direction. And I don't think, I think that ENACTUS as an organization was very similar. We had to act and react quickly and make some decisions, and just like any other business. And we were very fortunate to be able to pull that off. We very fortunate that so many teams felt the passion to keep going when it would have been just as easy to not. And we actually have what, about 14 more teams competing this year than we did last year, which shows that the spirit is alive and well. And that doesn't include the 15 extra teams that are doing the pitch competition. So quite a bit more engagement with teams, which means that they were active and really using this. We were taping some students' responses to a few questions earlier this week, and one of them, pretty emotional, he basically said, this was kind of my lifeline through this. I couldn't go anywhere, I couldn't do anything, but I could meet with my ENACTUS team. It was my centering guidepost, and we solved problems together and we worked on things, and it's what I look forward to most. And he wasn't just saying that. You could tell by how he was saying, he was extremely emotional that this was sort of his core unit to help him through it, through what we've all gone through.
Absolutely. And also, I wanted to ask you, so the ENACTUS project, students that they want to involve, they do not need only to be with team, they could do even personal project as well, right?
Inside a school team.
Personal teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so it could be, because I remember one of the project I got involved also to ENACTUS was the team project, but also I did another one, which is my passion, it is leadership. So I started to work on the project, the mindsets of high achievers, started working with, interviewing, creating some sort of educational platform based on that. I need to continue it in some level, but I think it has impacted even the way that I'm even working at university or doing, other thing is just like, it was my passion, but it was also, I did it personally. And I know it's possible also for ENACTUS students. So we only have 2-3 more minutes. I want to ask for if you have any final comments, any suggestions, especially for those students that they want to begin to get involved with ENACTUS projects, and they don't know, or they need some sort of what is the first step to take, and what is your suggestion if they want to get involved with type of projects that they are passionate and they know that they can make an impact? What is your suggestion for them?
Well, be active. I mean, join a team. If you have a team on your campus, join that team, be part of the process. You might start as someone who's a runner on a specific project, and by the time you're done as a senior, you're the CEO of the ENACTUS team. So get involved, because it will bring out the passion in you. The beauty of ENACTUS teams is typically it's more than one project. Now, they might have a lead project, but there's 3 or 4 in development that people are working on. So there's going to be something you can find that you can really grab onto and make your own. Now, if you're at a school that doesn't have an ENACTUS team, then reach out to us and we will help you get one started. We will work with you to help you find a faculty advisor and have them work with you. We'll help you with materials to help you find more students in the recruitment process. So there's ways to do things, and our goal is to spread this passion that we have for our little niche in this market, and really see it grow and impact more students and impact more lives across the world.
Steve, thank you so much. I'm so grateful, first of all, for your time, for the wonderful talk that you offer today, your expertise you shared, and also thank you for what you're doing actually with your team, ENACTUS USA team, for empowering actually students. So wonderful. And at this time, I also wanted to just have a couple of announcements before we wrap up the session. Do you have any final notes? Anything that you want to say?
Well, just thank you for having me. It's always great to talk about ENACTUS. As you can tell, I get pretty excited about the students and watching them, and so I appreciate the time and opportunity, and hope that people will join us next week for some portion of the National Exposition online.
Absolutely. That's why actually, I wanted to just as a reminder to highlight to everyone who is joining live or watching the webinar recording later, actually be sure that you just like there are possibilities to watch live through their website or social media. And also for Alliant CSML students, also we will reach out to you, because there's a possibility even you could participate in different events and see some of the competition, and we will tell you about the logistics, because we could add also our students to the event. So with that being said, also I wanted to mention that we also have a conference, international conference on May 8th, 9:30 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, through California School of Management and Leadership. So in this conference actually is open to faculty and students that they want to present. The good news is that if you register by April 15, it's free actually for participation, or even you can send your poster, any type of involvement you want to have, you could share. And as you can see, I've added actually the email that you could be in touch in order to get more additional information. CSML conference at alliance.edu. So thank you all for joining us today. Anyone, each and every one of you who created this space for us, and special thanks to ENACTUS USA as well, and my gratitude to Steve Kappler for your time, your expectations, and also the impacts that you have actually on ENACTUS. So anyone who has any comments, questions, or additional follow-up, I have added my phone number, my email address here also. We look forward to seeing you also for other speaker series. Please feel free to visit our website for other events that we have, events.alliant.edu. So with that being said, thank you, Steve. Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a good evening if you're joining from this part of the country. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. I had a great time. It looked like there's a lot of questions coming up, so that's always good.
Yes, it's just like, as I mentioned, it's just a lot of interest from our side. It's just like we want to make sure from the after COVID, with the COVID, but now that things are getting better, it's just like our students getting more involvement with any activities possible through ENACTUS.
Yep.
Thank you. That was great.
Yeah, very happy to do it. And if we needed a redo, or if you need another topic, I'd be honored to help out again.
Thank you so much. We are so grateful. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
You have a good evening, okay?
You too. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.